Hello, my name is Charles Latson. I'm a health and PE teacher, certified pre-K through 12. I've been teaching in the school setting for at least 10 years, but overall 20 years in the fitness industry. Taught fitness for golf for a few years as well. Okay. Today, what we're here to do is go over a basic lesson plan for a beginner's tennis player. And what we're going to do is go over the basics of it, the history of it, and all those good things. So follow me over here. All right, today what we're going to talk about, we have two beginners that haven't played tennis before. We're going to go over a tennis lesson. It's going to be for the basics, okay? The objective, students will gain a basic understanding of the history of tennis along with the court and the dimensions, the proper grip and stance, a pivot turn, forehand with a follow through, okay? But before we get there, it's always important because when you're in PE class, you're gonna have some tests that are written, okay? We want you to answer some questions. So therefore, we're gonna talk a little bit about the history of tennis and how it originated in France in the 12th century, using the palm of the hand at first. There were no rackets involved yet, okay? That didn't come around until the 16th century when rackets were introduced. Later on in 1926, C.C. Powell created the first professional tour. The court, the first thing you gotta learn when you are a tennis player is what the court means, what it stands for, all the lines. Sometimes tennis players come out to the court and they don't understand what the lines mean because they haven't been introduced to it yet. So we're gonna go over what all these mean. The first one is the baseline. The next one you see there is the center mark. The next one you see is the singles sideline. The next one you see is the doubles alley. Next is the doubles sideline. Next is the service line. Next is the center service line. Then we have deuce court, ad court, and the net. We will go over some of the dimensions. I can tell you about it now. If you go from white out doubles line to white out doubles line, it's 76. 76 is 36 feet this way. Serve, okay? Since we're here, let's just talk about the deuce court and the ad court now. So if I'm serving on this side of the line, okay, you got the left side and the right side. If I'm serving on the right side of the line, I'm serving to the deuce court on the other side of the net, okay, which is on my left. If I'm standing on the left side, I'm serving to the ad court, which is on my right, okay? The next thing we're gonna talk about are the sidelines. This line here is called the singles sideline. So any ball that hits right here outside that line is called out, okay? We have signals for out and in. This is out, and that is in, okay? This area in here is called the doubles alley. Doubles mean you're playing with 4 people, 2 on each team. Any ball that lands in this area is counted as good for doubles. And the next line that we have is the doubles line, okay? When you're playing doubles, any ball that lands outside of this white line is out, okay? And that's doubles. The next line we're going to talk about is the service line. The service line is this line here that extends from the singles line on that side to the singles line on this side. The next thing we're going to talk about is the center line, which is this line right here down the middle. Okay, when you're serving, oh, that person's serving over here to me on the deuce court on this side, the ball has to land in this little rectangular box inside of the center line. Same thing goes for if they're serving in the ad court. Obviously right here we got the net. Okay, this is the net. And from the center, keep this here for a reason, on the center it's supposed to be 3 feet. 3 feet in the center. posts that hold the nets up. Okay, so what we're gonna do today, we're gonna go into a little lesson. We're gonna have the boys come out and we're gonna be demonstrating and talking about the forehand grip, the stance, the pivot turn, and the follow through. Okay, so guys, if you want to grab your rackets, come on. What we got to talk about is the grip. One of the most important things when you're playing tennis is the grip. Okay, so when we're gripping the racket, we have to make sure we're gripping with the right grip. For beginners, you got to make sure that you start the right way. Most people, when they come out and play tennis, they start the wrong way and they end up the wrong way. Okay, so what we're going to do when you're learning how to hit the racket, it's like playing golf. If you start off with the wrong grip, you're not going to hit the ball the right way. You're going to hit it on the house, you're going to hit it on the toe, maybe in the shaft if you're playing that bad. But when you're playing tennis, what we like to do as teachers is start you off with the correct grip. You have many different grips. You got to decide what style you're going to play with, whether you're going to play an Eastern, whether you're going to play with a Western or a semi-Western. It's going to be up to you based off what you want to accomplish with your tennis stroke. Okay, I would say with a Western or a semi-Western, what you're going to get is a lot of top spin and you're going to get a lot of control. Okay, that is one of the hardest grips because you really have to be in great position in order to use that grip. Beginners and students usually start off using an Eastern forehand, and I will explain to you how you get yourself into an Eastern forehand. The way it starts, well, going back to deciding what kind of tennis player you want to be, you got to decide if you're going to be the guy that's going to hit a lot of top spin, okay, using that Western grip, but that's going to give you a lot of control at the same time, or you're going to be the guy that wants to use an Eastern forehand, which is going to give you a lot of power and drive on the ball, can hit a lot flatter. No matter what grip you use and where you start, you will be able to develop, you know, your top spin and mix in your drive power balls with the same grip. But beginning from the very beginning, we're going to start the students off with an Eastern forehand grip. Let me explain to you about the bevels. Okay, I'm going to come a little closer to the camera so you can understand. The racket has 8 sides to it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They are called bevels in tennis. Okay, I'm just going to grab the racket and talk about a few things here while I got you. Important for beginners, okay, and instructors to make sure you instruct your students on the proper grip size to get. You don't want anything that's too big, but you don't want anything that's too small at the same time. If you're talking about juniors have to get junior rackets. You don't want to give them adult size racket because the grip is going to be too big for their hand. If you look at my hand, you can see that my thumb and my index finger are touching. Okay, you can see that my thumb and my index finger are touching. Okay, if they were not touching, if they were like this, that would mean the grip is too big. Or if they overlap too much, that means the grip is too small. Mine is just right where they're barely touching. Okay, you want to make sure that this V in your hand is kind of perpendicular to the frame of the racket. Okay, so if you see the V in my hand, it's pretty much going up the frame of this racket, and that's how you know that you're in a good position. So going back to the bevels, you got to pay attention to the palm and the knuckle on your index finger, and that'll tell you what kind of grip you're holding. For me, I use a Western grip, and what that says is my palm is basically on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th bevel, sitting right on it, and my knuckle is way over here on the 7th bevel. Okay, it's way over here on about the 6th or 7th bevel. That's an extreme grip. With an Eastern, it's going to be more here, where the palm now is on bevel number 3, and the knuckle, you can see the knuckles on the side of the racket, which means it's on the 1, 2, 3, almost 3 and 4. Okay, for the bevels. The best way to get your students in, the best way I teach my students, whether I'm teaching them in physical education or we're on a tennis court, because when you're in physical education, it's important for us as teachers to make sure we don't just send our kids out to play tennis without first explaining the proper grip. And so I always try to get the students to first focus on that. They're always in a rush to just grab a racket and go, but you don't want them to be unsuccessful hitting the tennis ball. So what we do is we lay our racket down and it's flat on the ground. From there, all you got to do is pick it up. Now you have yourself an Eastern forehand grip. It's as simple as that as far as teaching the grip. Another way to do it, if I was to hold the racket on the neck, I could just shake hands like I'm shaking hands with a person, put my hand on the grip. Once again, I'm in an Eastern forehand grip, okay? And that's the best way for an amateur or a beginner to start learning how to hit a tennis ball and be successful at doing it. And as you get better, you can change, experiment, and go from there. Okay, now what we got to talk about is the grip on the backhand. In tennis, the ball's not going to come directly to you. It's going to come to you either your right or your left. And depending on what's your dominant hand, I'm right-handed, so my dominant side, my right side is my forehand. Okay? So you got to know how to hit a backhand as well. And you got to know how to go from one to the other. So we just talked about the Eastern forehand grip, shaking the racket. Okay, I'm going back. Okay, stepping forward with my open stance, turn pivot stance. Then the ball was to come to my left side, I got to switch to a different grip. For a backhand grip, and we're going to use a two-handed backhand grip for this exercise, okay, and for this lesson. All you got to do, if you hit a forehand, you come here, and all you're going to do is roll your hand, and remember the bevels that we talked about. Now that knuckle is going to be sitting on the first bevel, that top knuckle of the right hand. Then all you do is place your left hand on top of it, okay? And the knuckle on the other index finger is going to be on the bottom of the racket, okay? And you bring it back, and you just come forward, okay? Bring it back low, come forward from low to high, and there you have your backhand grip. Backhand grip, you got to really be in good position, especially if you're going to use a two-handed backhand grip. So once again, you're going to look closely. That's going to be where your hand position is going to be. This was the Eastern grip for the forehand. And then when we switch it over to the backhand, you roll it around. Now you got that knuckle on top of the bevel, and all you do is place the other hand on, all right? And then you're ready for your backhand grip, and that's how it should look. Now that is the initial grip, how we start off our Eastern forehand grip. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go into the ready position in tennis. In tennis, you got to be ready to receive the ball, okay? When you're in a ready position in any sport, you got to be in a ready position. And in tennis, this is our ready position. We are ready to receive the ball from the other player, okay? So if I were a tennis player and I had my ready position, I would look like this. Then I would go into my pivot turn. Okay, so we're going to work on a ready stance, boys. A ready stance in tennis. Thank you very much. That's what a ready position looks like in tennis. The next position that they would go into is what we call a pivot turn. A pivot turn, you can rest for a second, boys. The pivot turn looks like this. You're starting in your ready position. You already got your Eastern forehand grip. You're in your ready position. And now you're going to pivot and turn. When you pivot turn, you got to make sure you have your lead hand out in front of you because it's your guide hand and all. So again, we're at the point now we're going to learn the pivot turn. We've already got the grip, we've already got the stance, and now we're going to work on our pivot turn. The pivot turn starts from our ready position. Okay, from this position, all you're going to do is pivot and turn with your lead hand out. Okay, pivot and turn with your lead hand out. That gets the racket down, okay, down and below you, okay? The tennis swing is done from low to high. And what I'm gonna do is have the boys just hit a few forehands to show you everything from beginning to end in its entirety, okay? So boys, I'm gonna feed you some balls. We're gonna hit some forehands, okay? Making sure you do an off the step. Here we go. Make sure you follow through over your shoulder. Move your feet. beginning. That's all you want the students to do, okay? You don't want to worry about, you want the ball to land on the court, but if it doesn't land on the court, that's okay. You want them to have the feel of where the ball is going, have the feel of the correct positions to be in. And that's all you worry about for beginners. Don't make it too technical to where they can't understand, okay? In closing, you want to make sure you keep the game nice and simple for your students to learn and have fun. The ultimate goal is for them to come out here, pick up a new sport, a new activity to do. It's all about wellness, healthy living, and physical activity, and tennis is one way to get that in. Remember to keep it simple for them. Don't give them too many things to think about, but the basics of tennis are the grip, the stance, the pivot turn, the forehand with a follow through. If you teach it that way, they will love the sport and they will learn more as they go. Thank you very much for joining my class.